showing up to one day. But yeah, yourself, which means showing up.
Or sharp. So, but yeah, I was like, either way, I know a lady in either one.
Yeah, great. Who's going to Orlando?
I'll be there. When you go out Sunday?
I'm leaving Saturday. I got confused on the times. I know I'm probably supposed to be signing up for things, but I don't know what to sign up for.
There you go. Bottom line is we'll all be there. We'll have some fun.
We'll figure it out.
We will connect. Pete, you're muted.
How's everybody doing? How's it going?
Hey, Pete, good.
All right, we're trying to get this ramped up today. We have a thin crew. A lot of people are traveling to Orlando and going out that way towards Shareholders, which is an EXP event. That's the midway convention of the year that they have. So they'll probably have around 10,000 agents out there in Orlando to see the company's reports and what's happening and so forth. So that's exciting. So I know Bobby is on the move on that. I know Mitch had a meeting on that. And so we got everybody else. But I mean, there were a lot of people we couldn't get to last week with handling these objections that we're getting in a shifting market right now with buyers, sellers, and investors, which is really shifting very, very quickly, especially with, you know, the Fed chairman raising this rate 3/4 of a point and saying another 3/4 will probably come in July. And then they'll go from 1/4 to 1/2 for August and September. I mean, so you could possibly see rates between 6 3/4 and 7 3/4 by September. And you know, I think we have to have a skill set when speaking with consumers on what we need to do to explain where the rates are going, how the market is normalized, how to position yourself to win bids on houses, how to position your house to get it sold, and so forth, which a lot of times I think we've looked at it based on motivation and so forth. And that's been really, really a good approach. And you will have some sellers who are just unrealistic, right, guys? So I wanted to start off because I know Betty didn't get a chance to speak last week on this. And Betty, what are you seeing in your market? I know you're in the South Carolina market, and I know you've been a trainer too with Tom Ferry and other top coaches. What are you advising the agents that you're working with to do right now on a consistent basis, not only to get listings, but to keep buyers in the game?
Yeah, you know, I think now is a great time because we get to go back to the basics. And that's what I'm talking to them about. So here's what I want to talk about scripts and objection handling. And, you know, so many of my clients, they all say, well, you know, we don't want to sound scripted. Well, yeah, nobody wants to sound scripted. So really sounding scripted is not good. So what we want to do is sound conversational. And how do you sound conversational? You know what you're going to say so that you can pay attention to your client when you're talking to them. So learning the scripts, I've fought that for years. You know, I thought, well, I'm good at talking to people. I don't need to know the scripts, but I tried the scripts, and that even makes you more powerful when you know what you're going to say. So now that, you know, I'm really excited because expireds will be back in the market. And I've really built my career early on expired listings. So they're getting ready to come back, which is great, you know. So I'll talk to you a little bit about a script. But when we're paid to communicate, right? So we got to get it right. And when you're communicating, 7% of what you say is the communication. And I think, let me see what the percentage, I wrote it down. 38% is tonality and 55% is body language. So how do you increase tonality? How do you increase tonality? You, with confidence, with knowing what you're going to say, and coming across like the people in this panel did. they don't have an upswing in their voice. They don't say, oh, would you like to list? Or, very awkward. They know what they're going to say. I use like a karate chop so that I can do a down swing when I'm talking to someone. So, because that makes you sound more confident. So I think that if you know what you're going to say, when you begin the conversation, you're on the right track. So, I mean, I could talk forever about it. And expireds, they need to know and feel that you're confident that you can sell their house. So that's the script. You got to come across super confident. And that's the person that they're going to go with. Somebody that's confident and somebody keeps talking to them and keeps aggressively following up. So, I mean, is there anything, Pete, you want to talk about specifically about that?
Yeah, well, here's my follow-up question to you. Do you feel there's going to be a lot of opportunity in for sale by owners and expireds coming up?
I do. I mean, I thought for sale by owners were a fantastic opportunity in the last 2 years because, I mean, you have to believe what you're saying. And I honestly and truly believe that for sale by owners, we're leaving a ton of money on the table in the last 2 years, because if they're on the open market, they're going to get multiple offers and they're going to get way more. So I believe that was a good time to talk with them. And it's still the case. Because I believe that we'll net them more, and that's the only thing they care about. They want to save the money, and the only thing they care about is understanding that you're going to net them more in the long run. So if FSBOs, definitely expireds, I'm so excited because as we've been talking about, most agents are going to come in and take the property overpriced. The ones that take it overpriced, they're going to expire. We're going back to the way it used to be. And then here we come. And we've got to go back to the way we always have dealt with expired. So I love it in that case. Still, because we have low inventory, I think circle prospecting is a really, a big way to go. And knowing what you're going to say, because everybody that you talk to wants to know what's happening in the shifting market. What's going on? What are the houses selling for? They're starting to get a glimmer of yikes. Is this going to come to a screeching halt? And you're there to tell them, no, that's not going to be what happens. So you're their trusted advisor on that.
And you're not going to win them all too. I mean, there's going to be times that things will change or you'll get caught in the whitewater. Right, that happened with me yesterday on one of the listings that we had in La Jolla, and the people were trying to get it prepared, and this is an excuse, it's just a story, and this is a real story, and they were trying to get it prepared, It was taking them weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and I said, look, guys, we got to get this on the market. And by the time they put it on the market, in trust, I set the price. The market had already shifted, and then by setting that price based on supply started in a very sneaky way, started building up, and then they didn't really want to move. They said, hey, if we get a certain price, we move. If we don't, we won't. And when we went to do a price adjustment after 7 days, I said, look, guys, we tried it, we overshot the market, you need to be here. And they said, well, we're not willing to go there, we're willing only to go here. And we tried their price, but how quickly sellers forget. So yesterday, I had my 10 seconds courage, and the guy said to me, well, how do you miss a market by 600,000? And I said, well, what do you mean? Right? I said, you can't just throw it on me. This is the conversation we had. And when you have 20 showings and 3 second showings in a market like this, and you don't get one offer, something's wrong. Right? So he didn't like that very much. He just said, well, I think I'll either rent it or I'll do this, I'll do that, but we're not going to renew. So maybe I'll be talking to Randy and Brian about that one because they're in my marketplace and give them the opportunity. But something, you're not going to win them all. And you got to have thick skin. You have to listen to people. You have to hear them out, not take it personally and so forth. Cameron, I know you're raising your hand on that. So let's go down to Cameron Smith. Look he's got a new hairdo going. He's looking great. And he's got a comment on that. Go ahead.
You don't want to win them all, guys. That's something that's very important. As this market shifts, you want to work with ready, willing, and able sellers and buyers. That's very, very important. like you were just saying, you'll have sellers that are just unrealistic. They want their number, and that number is not possible anymore. You know, when we could get multiple offers and you could get 50 showings in a day, yeah, we could. And we told you back then that this was the time to sell, and you had your time, and that's okay. And then you have to be just blunt, honest, and upfront with them, like we were saying. This is where we are now, guys. If you want to sell, here it is. If not, that's okay. I would never try to hold these listings that they're unrealistic. Just release them. Let them go back, refer them out, like you said. You don't, in a downturning market, you do not want listings that are sitting because these people are going to get frustrated. They're going to make it so you're not sleeping at night. You want people that have motivation. And that's what the scripts are all about, you guys, is finding motivation through conversation that we are directing. We know where we're going. We know where we want to end, but we're asking the questions to find the motivation. As the market gets tougher, then you got to even dig harder for motivation. How much do you owe on your property? Do you know? Or what is the payoff currently? These are questions that you need to know before you even go out on a listing presentation, because you know that if they are upside down in the property, and now that's not the case for a lot of sellers right now, but in the coming months, if we continue on this downturn, especially with the markets going the way they are, people will be upside down. And if they need to sell within 30, 90, or 6 months, they will have the opportunities to start doing short sales again. So you need to be very upfront with them. If they do want to list at the price, like you were saying, Pete, that's higher, give it a shot. You can try it. It doesn't hurt, but you got to be honest, say, I don't think this is going to work. I'm the professional. You have to remember that once the client trusts you and they are using you as your advisor, you tell them what's going on. You tell them the facts. You are the expert. Now, with that, guys, I know there's a lot of newer agents on this call. You have to know what you're talking about. You need to know the statistics. You need to be watching the market every day. That way, that when you're talking, you can drop the numbers, you can drop the statistics, and you have the knowledge that backs up that you are the expert. A couple of quick things. Conversation is 50% or more is listening. So when you do scripts, you guys got to remember that we are conversating, we're talking, you're asking questions, and then we're listening, because they'll tell you exactly what they want to hear. You just need to listen to what they're saying and then guide the conversation down that path. Circle prospecting is always fantastic. It doesn't matter if the market's going up, down, sideways. You can always circle prospect, and I always do it on new listings and sales. If I'm the buyer's agent and I just sold a property, they're getting the same call. Hey, this is Cameron Smith, EXP team leader. I just sold a home in your neighborhood over at X and X and X Street. You always give the address. It gives you validity. It just gives you so much. Now, if you didn't just sell a home in that neighborhood, look in your office. Someone around you sold a home in their neighborhood that you want to call. We just sold a home. We had a lot of activity in it, even in this downturning market. And we have buyers that are looking in your neighborhood. How long have you been at the home? And then that's just the basic opening script. It's like opening the door. And then you listen and you go from there. Circle prospecting will always be great, you guys. Now, as this market continues to shift, expireds and for sale by owners are going to be a gold mine, as they were in 08, 09, 010. And that's where a lot of us actually got most of these scripts and kind of our education, which is really fun. So expireds and for sales owners would be great, but also, like I've been kind of telling you guys, make sure that you're getting your buyer system set up. Being a buyer's agent in a downturning market is a lot of fun. For example, yesterday, I had a selling agent reach out to me by text. Just wanted to see how everything was going. It was so nice that you showed your property. We're so happy. It's amazing how things turn in 30 days. Well, if we go 6 months in this, they will literally be begging for us to bring buyers to them. So you need to have your system set up. You need to have that speed to lead, where as soon as they hit your website, you're talking to them, you're finding their motivation, and you're able to get them pre-qualified and finding homes. Because being a buyer's agent in a downturning market is wonderful. At the same time, listings, expireds, and for sale by owners is an unlimited lead source. So those are important too. That's all I got for you guys.
That's great stuff. Does anybody know the percentages on circle prospecting conversion nationally? Brian might know this, Cameron might know this. It's not a trick question on a Thursday. I'm just curious because that somebody, my nephew asked me about that this morning. He said, how often does that really work? And I said, well, there's a lot of variables to that. How often people are calling or how many calls they're making and what type of market it is and so forth.
The other thing is what you're saying, right? So what we're teaching you guys is so important because it's not like what you were saying. It's not exactly what you say, but it's how you say it. Speaking with confidence, speaking with knowledge. You have a very short time frame, especially with expireds when they're getting 30 or 40 calls in the morning. You get like 3 seconds. If you don't sound good, they don't like your tone. Right when they pick up, you're getting either an earful or they're hanging up on you because everybody else is calling them. 99% of them are using that same terrible script that's like given out for free. So they're so tired of hearing it. But if you can stop them in their tracks, you get them to pause, you get their attention, that's the game changer. So to answer your question with circle prospecting, it has tons of variables. Location, I'm sure, is the biggest one. Tourist or second homes like my market is going to be totally different than San Diego, where most folks are living. Consistency is always the biggest one. If you're doing it every day for 2 to 3 hours a day, you will have the practice that the scripts are going to be natural because you're doing it so much. You'll have the confidence, you know what you're going to say. You'll have the rebuttals, you'll have the comebacks because you've heard it 13 times that day. So the consistency, I think, is the biggest thing for conversion rate, but then being part of a group or a mastermind like ours that can give you the little tricks, those little bit of, well, who's the best agent in your area? Oh, I know all the top agents, just those little things that get people thinking that nobody else uses. Those are kind of the tipping point, but you got to be consistent.
Awesome. I know the top agent in Philly. It's Craig Lurch. There he is in his new office, ready to go. He's all fired up. Lurchy, what's happening in Philly in that market? Are you starting to see it wane a little bit where inventory is building and buyers are getting a little feisty with their bids? What are you seeing?
Definitely seen inventory build. You can see that when all the properties that are getting listed are now sending just listed out emails. So your email box is filling of just listeds, even if they've only been out 2 days on things like that. You're seeing a lot of reverse prospecting on agents that are now emailing, hey, by the way, I say you've got a buyer that's in the multiple listing. So now where agents weren't even following or talking to you, now all of a sudden you're getting bombarded in your email by that, and also phone calls, all which is good. What I'm finding also is I'm calling it the good old guy group or the good old, crowd, the ones that have been around for a while. Not that, or the agents that have been nice during this, that haven't gone to the little black book, are now calling each other, saying, hey, by the way, what do you have? What can I do? How can I work with you better? Do you have a home? Come, so communication among the agents has gotten really, really strong. One of the words that a good friend of mine, Stacy and Bruno, we were just doing something with, and a buddy of mine, Jackie's actually on there. We've been talking about the word of a switching market, this market, a shifting and all that. It's a transition. All this is like you're saying, the whitewater. This is a transition from point A to point B. There's a space in between. It's a journey that's going to take place. We don't know where the journey is going to go. We just know it's a transition from what we had. Don't jump off the roof. The world's not going to end. We're not blowing up. We just got to deal with it. I actually put a TikTok out on that the other day. Don't jump, don't jump. The agents are jumping. The sellers and buyers are relying on us. If we're jumping, they're going to jump. Yes, we need to have some urgency, but again, it goes back to what Betty was saying. 7% in what we say, really in the tonality and the body language. If you're walking around like, oh me, oh my, like Eeyore, guess what? You're going to get treated like Eeyore. And another thing, I chose years ago to change when expires were strong. I go into places on listings, I don't use the word expire. Everybody uses expire. I use unsold. You can be part of the unsold crowd that stands on the wall and wants to be in a dodgeball game, or part of the dodgeball crowd that's in the field. Which one do you want to be? The wallflower or the one in the game? So the unsold and the not. Get out of using the same words everybody uses. Be different. Okay, so those are the things that I've been using and seeing. And by the way, I love being caught in the whitewater. I live in Philly. There's not a lot of whitewater. We just get caught in the Delaware River with logs flowing and dead bodies. But other than that, we're good. So I'm going to start using. We don't get caught in the whitewater. We get caught in the Delaware.
Get caught in the cheesesteaks, in the cheese water. Okay, we like that. That's good. I'm going to go down to Brian Yarber. He's got all types of medals behind him because he has made all his scripts his own conversations. That's all the medals he's gotten there from every script that he's perfected. Brian, you had some great stuff a couple of weeks ago on the objection handling with sellers and buyers in these types of markets. So if I'm a brand new agent and I'm starting in real estate today, and we know that the shift is on, what do I need to do, A, to get business going with buyers and sellers? And what do I need to work on my trade craft to become a better agent, to make sure I have sustainability in this market?
Great questions. By the way, I had to leave Montana. Everything's flooded up there.
Uh-oh.
That's why I'm
That's
back.
not good.
No. Great stuff already. Cameron, I say what to newer agents all the time. What you say matters, how you say it matters more. In this market, I would say that right now you need to learn the best objection handling scripts are ones that you don't answer. You prepare for the answer. So as an example, if you're newer and you don't have a lot of confidence yet, and you have mentors and you're learning scripts, and Betty was talking about, scripting sounds scripted and it sounds repeatable. And then all of a sudden somebody just says, okay, maybe I'm not talking to a professional or whatever. So nothing builds confidence knowing then how to handle objections in such a way that allows you to follow up with the question. So here's an example. Whether you're at an open house, in a networking event, just sitting around a party with some friends, and someone asks you a question that puts you on the spot that you think if you don't answer it correctly, you're going to lose the opportunity to win them over. That's the fear from most newer agents. They don't have confidence. So a couple things. One, best way to build confidence in this real estate market right now is if you have no business or if you have a little bit of business, I recommend, and I still do it to this day, 37 years into this business, I preview property constantly. If you're out previewing property, it gives you the confidence to speak about something you saw and that you have knowledge of. So have you seen that house down around the corner? Yeah, I did see that. I actually previewed it last week. I saw it. It has a small backyard, but it does have a good view, whatever. Confidence will come to you by previewing. You have to know your market. Don't just get really good at looking at pictures in the MLS. You've got to go experience your market. So pick a day of the week, 3, 4, 5 hours, take somebody with you and go preview property and watch what happens to your language and your body when you're now talking about real estate, because you have something to anchor to for confidence. Yeah, I was out in the market the other day, whatever it is. But here's the thing. The objection handling script that I like best for newer agents is, wow, that's a really great question for, okay? So you hear the question, who's it for? The lender, title, escrow, the seller, the seller's agent, the buyer, the buyer's agent, depending on what conversation you're having. When somebody asks you a question, I'll give you an example. You're standing in an open house, somebody walks in and says, hey, how old are these windows? Like they look new, or do they have snakes or wildfire problems in this neighborhood? Do this or that? Is the HOA allow this? The great thing is hear the question, repeat it so they hear what you ask them and say, that is a very good question for the HOA. Let me follow up. What's the easiest way for me to get this information to you? I stop. I don't try to create an answer. I just want their information so I can follow up, because now I have a moment to prepare for the follow-up. I don't have to do malpractice on myself and in the environment that I'm sitting in, right? So objection handling scripts work best when you have time to prepare for the answer. Don't try to make up an answer. Don't try to answer, well, they look brand new. How important is that question to you? That's a good one. How important is this question to you? What else is holding you back from making an offer on this home, right? If I'm in an open house, but if I'm in the marketplace and I'm just out talking to people and the objection is man, where are the interest rates today? What are they? And you don't want to quote that because maybe you don't know, or you do know, but why quote it if you do know? Why not say, you know what? That's a great question for a lender. Who have you been working with? Put them on the spot. Why'd they ask that question, right? So build some confidence, build some muscles in the objection handling script. It doesn't put you at the center of attention of the answer, because I can guarantee you lose business every time you create an answer that puts a disconnect between you and their goals. If somebody says, how's the market? That depends, right? We talked about this. How's the market? That depends. What are you considering doing, buying or selling? You know, well, we're thinking about buying. Great. Now I can go down the buyer path conversation piece. If they say, I'm thinking about selling. If they say, well, we had a property in this case, well, we had our house on the market, but it didn't sell. Geez, you're kidding. Let's talk about that. What's a good time to get together? I'd love to prepare. I'd love to come over and see your house and maybe give you my expert opinion. So you need to create confidence and comfort, knowing that the best answer is not answering their question on the spot. It's preparing how to answer it. So when you come back to them, you have way more knowledge and way more information to give them. Okay. So that's an opportunity to create a follow-up with another opportunity. They're not a lead yet. Just because you have their phone number or their email, that's not a lead. A lead is somebody who interacts with you. A lead is somebody who will work with you. A lead is somebody who answers your calls, answers your emails, follows up with you. They don't need to go out and look at property. That's not a lead. Anybody will go look at property. If you have a freaking good deal in front of them and they have a breath, they're going to go look at a good deal, right? So you don't want to just show property to show property. You want to show property to leads who will work with you. Conversation pieces that are professional and that are objection handling. Because here's the one we talked about. Everybody has an agent in some respect, right? We talked about that with Mitch. He said, not who are you not are you working, who are you working with, right?
Yeah, what's the name of the local expert you're working with?
Yeah, so we talked about the scripts and how to handle that. Geez, you're kidding. How long you've been looking? Cameron said this, you don't want every deal, right? If I'm calling on expired listings today, here's my script. Hey, Mr. Johnson, or hey, Pete, I noticed that your property is not in the MLS today. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to come see it while it was on the market. We've got a great list of buyers right now. I'd just like to come by and see your property before you consider listing it with another agent or putting it back on the market. So I can see, because you're at the top of the range for some of our buyers. So that's one of the reasons why we didn't see it. But now that it's not on the market and it's comfortable, maybe would there be a good time I could swing by, just take a preview, keep it in mind for a couple of our buyers. So when you do come back on the market, we just want to know about it, right? No pressure. I'm not coming over to list.
Sure.
I just want to see your property. No pressure. Now, when I get there, first question I'm going to ask typically is, wow, this is really nice. Let me ask you, what was your highest offer? I'm just going to assume you had one. What was your highest offer? If they say I didn't have one, I'd be like, geez, you're kidding. Why do you think that was? Right? I just want to know what they know, because like Cameron said, I may not want to work with them. They may be a difficult seller and I'm just going to waste marketing time. I'm going to have another statistics. I'm not going to have the success. So all of this confidence, backing up to what I started to say with, if you're not previewing property, if you have a really good buyer and you try to show them every property they want to see that comes up on their list, and they say, hey, this looks really good, can you get us in? Okay, great. If I just go ahead and try to get them in and I haven't seen the property, it's kind of like walking through a scary fun house together for the first time. You're going to go into rooms and you're going to be like, whoa, that's why there's no picture of that room on here. I'm going to look like a scared idiot, right? So I want to be able to say, hey, yeah, let's go set it up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a time to go preview it. I'm going to go get inside this property while you're at work today or tomorrow. I'm going to go see it and I'm going to set it up so we can go see it. What are you going to be most interested in knowing about when I get there? I'm going to go tell them I'm going to preview it. A lot of times they'll just say, hey, can I go with you? Yeah, but I haven't seen it yet. Are you okay with that? Now we can go through the fun house together and enjoy it in a way that they're not expecting me to have seen it, because I have zero confidence in what I'm about ready to show them. Does that make sense? If you know your client's wish list and you show a house unprepared and they're going to get into the house and they're going to go, wow, why are we looking at this house? It doesn't even have the granite countertops that we talked about. I'm going to look unprofessional. Preview, preview, preview. Best confidence builder in the marketplace today. Prices up, prices down, houses on the market for a long time, vacant homes. Take somebody with you, take your list of people with you and go preview property. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. I sold 4 or 5 homes in 1 year just out previewing, because my timing was timing of some particular buyer that just happened to be sitting out in their car, staring at it, trying to get some information. And they just go, hey, are you a realtor? I'd be like, yeah. oh, we've been wanting to see this property. I would like to see it. I just let them in. I let them go with them. I'll just stay in here with you. I'll answer any questions I can. I haven't seen the property. I'm not the listing agent, but I will be here to let you in. I might as well show it to you while I'm here because I'm just here to preview it. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, do you know any other homes in the area? Yeah, I do. But why don't we sit down and talk about it, right? My whole goal for all of you is to never show a house without having a buyer consultation. My whole goal is to never try to list a property over the phone with somebody you've never seen the house. You have to go preview the house to find out if you want that listing bad enough. Of course, everybody would just take one over the phone from a long distance absentee owner who's just wanting you to help them. That's a great gift. But preview.
It's super important. I love that you brought that up, Ryan. I just wanted to share with everybody out there, when I was first starting, there was no MapQuest. I'm going to date myself, right? Everybody's going to laugh on this. There was no MapQuest. There was no Apple Maps. We had something called the Thomas Guide, where you had to flip to a certain page and know the numbers and the graphs and drive around. And what I would do all the time is I would ask my buyers, give me a top 10 list, 1 being the most important, 10 being a fantasy, a dream amenity, whatever you want. And I would write it out. I'd have it in their file. And then I would set the appointments and I would tell the agents, look, I need to preview this today just for 5 or 10 minutes. I don't even care if it's picked up. I just want to go in the house, make sure where I'm going to align it with the way that I'm showing people tomorrow. And I would go out and I would map out not only the houses that they were going to see, but I would also map out how I was going to show them. What was going to be in first position, what was going to be in 5th position. I never showed over 6 houses at one showing or 1 round of showings, because it confuses people. And then we would name the houses. But after every house, we would sit there and say, okay, how many did this have on your list? Oh, that had 7. Well, remember when we did our buyer strategy session, we said, if you could find 6 out of 10, you should write an offer, because we never find 7, 8, or 9, or 10 out of 10. And then we would go the next one and the next one and the next one and so forth. And I would control how the showings went and where we would show in the order and so forth. And I would know if it had certain qualities or certain amenities that they wanted. Most agents don't do that. They don't put in the work. They're fumbling through things. They're trying to get there. They're trying to meet people there. Always show up half an hour early, because what happens is the buyers get so excited they show up early, and the guy walking his dog comes by and he says, can I help you? And they say, no, we're waiting for a realtor. And he says, oh, well, that's what I do. And I know a house that's coming up. I just walk my dog part-time too. And next thing you know, they're calling him saying, hey, I want to see that house that you told me was coming up. I looked at the other one in the neighborhood. It didn't fit our needs. And they're going behind your back. That's if you don't have a buyer broker sign. You should have a buyer broker sign in this type of market, because it's going to get fast and furious, unless you want to be an Uber or Lyft driver, which a lot of people are going to become. So it just depends on where you want to be. With that being said, and I love that, Brian, and I'm going to give you a follow-up question.
Yeah, I just want to answer something you said. It's really important, Pete. So
Sure.
When you're having that conversation with somebody about the 10 property, right? And you're doing this over the phone or for your first time with them, and you're trying to get them to nail down that wish list to a really hot property. And when you see it, the goal is you want to let them know, by the way, it's okay if you guys only see one house and it's the perfect home and you make an offer on that house. You do not need to see a lot of properties when your realtor knows what your wish list is. But here's what I like to do. And I'm going to tell you this, Pete, is like the perfect setup. Here's what I know. If you've never met these people, but you're having a great conversation and you're doing everything with them over the phone or through the internet or through media or whatever, and you're not face to face, what you don't want to do ever is send them a property that they can go drive by today without you and look at it from the curb if it's available. Here's what I do. Hey, I'm going to send you 2 examples of homes that just recently closed. These are properties that are closed, because I know in the closed transactions, I'm going to be able to find the perfect property that fits most of your wish list. And I'm going to send it to you. And the question is going to be, if this property were to come on the market today, or one like this, is this your 10? Is this what you're describing to me? And I show them a house they cannot buy. Why? Because I want to see how committed they are to their wish list. I want to see how committed they are to this process. I'll also add in a pending. The pending one is the one that if they say, oh yeah, we saw that house. We missed out. That was the perfect home, but we missed it. Hey, great. Let me follow up with the agent. Let me see what's going on with that property. And I'll call over to the listing agent. I'll say, hey, how's your escrow going? Oh, we just fell out. Perfect. Don't put it on the market yet. I got a buyer to go show it to today. Is now a good time. Like I've sold and closed deals where the buyer has told me, yeah, Brian, we're so sad we missed out on the property. They tell me exactly what property it was. I call that agent and I find out they need another offer. They need a backup. I call it a bridesmaid. You'd rather be the bridesmaid sometimes on a deal, because the bridesmaid learns everything that the other person found out who walked away. It's okay to be the bridesmaid. Sometimes it's better. Okay. All right.
And I love that. That's good advice. And everybody who's listening out there, it costs you nothing to be a backup offer. You don't risk anything.
Yep.
So it's always good to be in that position, because what ends up happening is that seller can't put it back to the open market if you are on a signed backup offer in first position. They have to come to you first. So you've eliminated all the competition. The other thing that I love that Brian said, by sending the 2 solds and the pending, he's creating urgency and he's showing that the market is moving. A lot of agents will send people drips, or they'll send them properties every day, and that reinforces that they have all the time in the world and that there's a million properties coming on and they can do whatever they want on their timeline. Let's go look at 60 properties, 80 properties, 100 properties, and so forth. So you have to get that down so you understand that. Cameron's got his hand up. Go ahead, Cam.
Quick one, real quick. That was Brian. That was, man, love it.
Awesome.
Awesome. The question I asked when I first consult with buyers, most of mine are over the phone, you guys. I am in a vacation second home market. I sell most of my homes over FaceTime. It's crazy, but that's what we do. The question that I ask people, because they're on Zillow, they're on realtor.com, show me some of the houses that you like. I don't even search for people anymore, you guys. I let them do the searching. They send me the houses they like, and then I go find other homes that are better. Then I show them those, and that's the one I sell. It's I let them do the searching these days. They're, at least for my clientele, you guys, they're doing the searching. They know what they are. They see the market. You just ask them to send you a few homes that they love or they missed out on. One of the best scripts I was using when the market was just crazy is, show me your favorite 3 homes that you just missed out on. And they'll send you the exact homes. And then what you do, you call the agents. Where's the escrow? How's the inspection? Last year I sold over 15 homes on backup offers. It was like my specialty. I was like, hey guys, no, we don't want to win the main offer. We'll go in as a backup, $15,000 lower, but we'll be super, I give the selling agent the confidence that we are the offer. We will make it happen no matter what. And they sign a backup offer, and the first guys flake out before they even get the deposit in. Boom. And you got the happiest clients. They think you're God because you're able to do something nobody else was, because nobody else does the signed backup offers. So anyways, you got to ask, tell them what to do. Like you guys know, be the expert.
And that script, Cameron, that script, the best pick question we've learned to ask that absentee second home person who's not in the area: what was it about that house on the internet or on Zillow or whatever that you're looking at? What was it about that house that caught your eye? And they're going to say, it's got a boat dock, it's got a view. Oh, okay. So as an expert in the area, other than a view, what else is going to be important to you in a property? I'm just going to go right back in, because they're just getting agents telling them a price, hanging up, having a bad experience, hanging up, having a bad experience. No, what was it about that house that caught your eye? I want to know. Oh, it looked like it had really high ceilings. So you need something that has a great room, right? I'm just going to repeat what I hear. That's the nugget, right? The nugget in the question is, what are they really calling about? They're not calling about the price because they have that in front of them. They're calling about something that piqued their interest about the inside of that house on the pictures or the neighborhood.
And you can't assume that. You have to ask questions to get that out of them. Don't assume that you know what they like or what they want. Say, what's really important to you? So is that view important to you? Is the dock important to you? Do you have a boat? What's important to you? That's it.
And then remember, relate, guys. So you're going to ask that question. They're going to say, oh, it has high ceilings. Oh, I love high ceilings. In my home, I have 10-foot ceilings. Or I just sold a home and the buyer said that they love those same exact vaulted ceilings, or whatever it is. You're building rapport, you guys, especially with buyers. And that first 15 seconds, you're building rapport. You repeat, like Brian, like you said, you listen. That's the key. You listen first. They'll tell you what you want, what they want to hear. You repeat it, you affirm it, and then you relate with it. So that's a great nugget, you guys. This is a great talk. I'm glad we did 3 weeks of scripts.
I love that, because people want to work with people who relate to them. That's really, really important. People love working with people who are connected or in alignment with them. If you're not connected to somebody or not in alignment, they say, I don't know if this is the person I want to work with. And keep in mind too, you guys, in this type of market where we are going to be shifting to a buyer's market, a lot of people don't understand how buyer's agents get paid. They don't understand how real estate works and how people get paid. So it's okay to share with them, hey, this is how I get paid. This is how it works. It's really, really important, because a lot of them will say, oh, I wasn't aware of that. And just really educate them on how the process is. I want to get over to Randy because he's running out of sunscreen. He's on the beach and we don't want him to get burnt. So Randy, give us your take right now. And I know you deal with a lot of investors. So you're usually our investor guy and what they're doing and how you're creating balance with that and so forth. But the thing I want to also talk to you about is, how are you keeping investors positive and moving forward in this type of market right now when inventory is building and there's a lot of uncertainty with not only interest rates, but where the market's trending to? So what are you doing to encourage them that there's still a vast amount of opportunity out there?
Yeah. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to get to that in a moment, because I also deal on the retail side, and I have some nuggets from that angle. Is one thing that, well, first of all, interest rates, right, is going to be the objection you're going to get, right? Oh, well, I don't want to buy right now. Look what just happened. Interest rates went up by 50 percentage points, right? My thing would be like, great. Well, would you be, if it was at 5.5, would you buy it? Are you comfortable with that? And a lot of times at that point, they'd be like, yeah, but they're not. They're at 6.25. Like, so what if we actually were able to get the rate buy down to that 5.5? Would you go and look at properties? Well, how are you going to do that? Like, because buyers don't know this. So you got to educate them, right? Well, easy, right? Like, we're going to ask for a seller's concession that we could apply towards buying discount points, right? It might require 10, 15,000, right? And we're going to ask for it. Then we're going to take that money and apply it towards your interest rate and bring it down to what you just said you were comfortable with. So are you ready to go and look? Done, right? So you got to be prepared, right, to have the follow-up question to the objection they bring up, right? Because they might say, well, no, even 5.5 was too high. Well, then that's not even a good buyer at that point, right? They're not really ready. Did they even talk to a lender what the monthly payment would be at a 5.5? They probably have no clue, right? So anyway, so that's like just a side note. Another thing that is bugging me is there's people like, unfortunately, who is known around the country. He's got a massive following, like Dave Ramsey is now saying, oh, guys, there's no way the market will drop. It's supply and demand. And like, those conversations irk me when I'm hearing them online being discussed and thrown out there by people that have massive following. Like, it misleading the freaking public, right? So we as agents have to understand that literally the public is being misled, thinking that the market is not that the prices are going to still appreciate the whole time, even though interest rates are going up. Not, instead of talking to their local agent, which would be you, and be like, look, maybe that might be happening in particular little markets here and there. However, here in San Diego, here's what I'm seeing. Let me show you my stats. Right? I'm not saying necessarily throw Dave Ramsey under the table, right? And have a bad negative discussion and go on the rage on that. Instead, just be like, look, he might be talking about his specific market. All I know is I can show you what's happening here. Look, there's price drops, there's more inventory, because people are saying like, well, we're nowhere close to the inventory that, it's equilibrium, which is like 8,000 units. Well, no crap, but if you have other factors like interest rates being at 7% or whatever it might get to, prices are higher than they ever been before. people are losing their jobs, inflation is going up, affordability is getting crushed. Well, maybe the equilibrium is now going to be reduced to a 4,000, right? We don't know that. Like, I don't see how these people can be these experts in prediction, right? So to me, that irks me, and I would just refocus their mindset. Be like, look, let me educate you on what's happening here, right? I don't know what's happening where Dave Ramsey lives, and maybe he's talking about his specific, but here's what's happening here. So this is for you new agents. No, don't assume that the people you talk to understand what's actually happening on the ground level, right? Because they are being fed misleading information on a general scale. Okay, so that's another thing.
And keep in mind, I'm going to jump in here 1 second, Randy. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, a lot of times when the shifts happen, they start from the West Coast and they move east. Dave Ramsey's in Nashville. That's a very, very hot market. No state tax, a lot of people migrating there and so forth. However, it's like Randy said, you have to understand your micro market and what's happening there. You know, share with people, this is how much inventory is built over the last 30 days. This is what we're seeing with prices, you know, and we have a bunch of different options. Has anybody mentioned to you that maybe you can do an assumption loan? Oh, let me explain what that is. You can assume the seller's loan through their bank. We could look at that option. We could ask the seller to pay it down. We could try to pay it down through points or to get you a better rate, or maybe we do a 5 or a 7 or a 10-year ARM and then refinance 2 or 3 years from now when the rates come back down a little bit. So those are the important conversations you have to have. And then you have to say, look, everybody needs a place to live, right? Where else are you going to live? You're either going to rent or you're going to buy and own your own place, or you're going to live in a tent, one of the three. Something's going to happen. So I think you just have to talk people through that and get them off the ledge. Go ahead, Randy.
I'm also building my personal retail team. I just added another team member, and I was like, I talked to him yesterday because I talked to him weekly. I'm like, Nathan, this is the perfect opportunity for you to become farm an area and not have to spend really any money. I'm like, here's what I mean. Right now, listing agents are going to be begging other agents like you to hold open houses, right? Begging, where 2 months ago, you couldn't even freaking find an open house to hold, right? If you wanted to. So how do you farm? How do you become known in a farm? Well, then you got to spend money on postcards and letters and keep walking the neighborhoods. But I was like, nothing better, Nathan, than you doing literally 2 open houses every single weekend. And they keep seeing 25 signs of Nathan in that same neighborhood because you got so many open houses to choose from in the neighborhood of your choice, right? So now we're creating a strategy for him. He's a newbie agent, right? So 1, he's learning scripts from Brian and you guys. So I have him rewatch all these if he can't make it. But 2, I'm like, this is the opportunity. You pay for signs once, and then you load them up every weekend, rinse and repeat, right? It's your time. So that's a side note for some of you new agents out there that are like, oh, am I going to do this, right? Zone in on the farm area, and then you do what Brian said. Preview, preview, preview. Investors. Oh, man, I have so many tips. Guys, and with sellers in this retail market, if I'm going to sit down with a seller right now, and this is what I used to do in a market when it was kind of like flat, right, years ago, and the seller is, and he's like, Randy, I really want you to work with you. It's just, if I don't get clients, I actually have them pay for marketing, right? I give them a commission structure that is based on volume, right? And I also have them pay for marketing. So this can apply to you here, right? Is what I will ask you to do is you'll get to choose what you want, right? And this could add up to $1,000, let's just say, right? Because I'll have it all written out with the amount of money per item. I'm like, let's decide how we want to market your property at the price of your choice. But then all I need from you in writing And that literally, like, then I know how serious they are, because I go, look, Mr. Seller, the truth is, and I know this is what happens. You're going to sit down with other agents. They're going to be desperate. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to take your overpriced listing. What do you think? I'd be like, think about you. If you were an agent and you had a client like yourself say, hey, I will only sell at this price, but the comps don't really even support that. Would you spend money out of your own pocket when they want to get the sign, they want to have a sign in front of your house, and they're hoping that they're going to get calls, and then they could take those leads and go and sell properties somewhere else, and your house just sits there. That's it. Nothing happens. No marketing is getting. Look at the property. Let's send the postcards. Let's do Facebook ads. But I just want you to know, if you're going to cancel the listing, please reimburse me. If we sell your house, you don't have to reimburse me, of course. That's going to be part of the absorption of my commission, right? And I'm telling you, I had clients. Mad, we all knew what we're in for. So that's another. Investors. I'm going to close on investors. We have 5 minutes left. So when I talk to investors, right now there's an investor on this. Kevin is on right now, I believe. He's one of our agents. He's an investor agent. And one of the things he asked me is like, Randy, because some investors are getting caught in this market, right? They just bought their flips a month ago, and now this craziness is happening, and a lot of investors are going to react, right, to certain things, and they might react the wrong way. One of the things that Kevin asked me is like, Randy, hey, so should we put the house on the market with just the photos that I have right now? Because I can't schedule the photos until Saturday, so I won't have it till Monday, and then we lose a weekend. And so there's a lot of that happening. And of course, Kevin is wise. He comes to me and we talk about it together. But I believe there will also be other investors that are not going to be this wise. So you got to be the voice of reason if you work with investors and be like, no, like time out, like pause, please don't rush. You putting up a listing with your own photos from your phone is not going to serve you. There's only one time you can make that first impression, when it hits as a new listing and it hits the Zillow and Realtor and all the inboxes. I'm like, the last thing you wanted to see is a house from your iPhone's photos. Granted, they're great. They might do a great job, but you're not a professional. Anyway, so one thing is, if you work with investors, patience, bring them back and be like, look, no, get professional photos. Let's do it correctly. Couple of days is not going to change anything, but the first impression is important. Second thing, you need to go through the house with this investor and look for any objection that a buyer might bring, right? And what is, again, example with Kevin, with this one listing that him and I co-listed in Vista right here in California, they did not spend the money to turn half the bath into a full bath. So we have a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath property. Now, that was their choice because of the budget. That's fine. However, in this transitional market, that is a huge negative, right? Most buyers are going to want a 3.2, not a 3.1.5. Okay. So now I had a conversation with Kevin, get a quote from your contractor. What is it going to cost to turn that half bath to a full? So when you hear that objection, you can say, well, if you submit an offer that we would accept, we would actually add that and turn that into a full bath. So can you put that in the contract? So now he's going to add it to the agent remarks as well. Seller willing to turn half bath to a full bath with an accepted offer, right? That's going to be in the agent remarks, not in the public remarks, okay? Because the cool part is that Zillow syndicates bath count, not necessarily a half as a half. So people are going to see 2 bathrooms instead of 1.5 on Zillow and Realtor.com in most cases. But then when a realtor would go on the MLS, and if you don't tell the realtor in the agent remarks that you are willing to turn a half into a full, they might not show your house at all, right? Because they'll be like, oh, Mr. Client, this is a 1.5 bath. You said you want two full baths, right? So this one, that's not for you. But now Kevin has that objection handled in the agent remarks. Hopefully agents will read it, which we do, and be like, oh, no, let's show you this property, because there's an opportunity that we can make this work for you if you really like the home, right? So we now have to actually think ahead. What is the buyer thinking, and be prepared to handle those objections and actually have them in agent remarks. Some you might have to have actually in the home, like in a binder. Like I mean, I'm coming back to all these things that I used to do, 3-4 years ago when the market was kind of equal. We had to literally proactively educate the buyer's agent so they could educate the buyer. We cannot assume that the buyer's agent is going to do that work for you. They will not. It's up to us to do it. So if you're getting showing requests, guess what? That's an opportunity for you to remind a buyer's agent, hey, by the way, you're going to walk through the house. If your client doesn't like the half bath, I don't know if you saw it in the agent remarks. I just want to make sure you know that we would be willing to turn the half into a full. I just want to make sure you know that. And that could be a template you create and text it to them. Boom. Right? We have to work now, guys, as agents. It's not this easy when you just put a house on the market with sellers. Okay. And then with an investor that I'm doing this right this moment, he locked up a house. He has to close on it to flip here in San Diego. He doesn't want to ruin his reputation of backing out, which maybe he wants, maybe he doesn't. I'm not quite sure, because the spread is pretty good. He's buying it at 900,000. We should be able to sell it for $1.2 million, but the market is shifting so quick. We don't know what's going to happen in 3 months when they're done with the rehab. Guess what I suggested? I'm like, look, hey, Billy, man, you know what? Let's put this house on the market as is. This house is mortgageable. It's outdated, right? That's why you're buying it. However, this is a mortgageable house. As you work on getting your construction quotes and everything ready, let's put this thing on the market right away. We'll take professional photos as is, right? And then we'll throw it on the market at $1.25 million. We're going to put it on the market at $1.25 million, and we're going to be very specific that we only want end users, not flippers. We want end users. So we're looking for an end user that was going to bring us a mortgage. And to them, I'm like, think about it. If the value of this home based on comps is 1.2, if a buyer that's actually is excited about updating their home the way they want to, buying this house for $1.25 million, even if they spend $150 on it, they have equity in the property, right? So that's our target we're going after. And then in 2 weeks, if we don't get an offer, you take it off and you do the rehab. So we're doing that. He's like, I love this idea, Randy. So we're listing this home. Literally, as soon as he closes, we're going to list it 2 days later. And then he's going to start doing landscaping outside. I said, just don't work on the inside, work on the outside, right? And then it helps me with negotiating, because when listing agents call, I'm like, hey, this is a friend of mine. He's going to be rehabbing this home. I told him to list it right now. We're looking for a very particular buyer. Not sure if your client is the one. However, I can tell you, if we don't get an offer that our client is going to entertain, this house is going to come off the market and is going to come back fully renovated, somewhere around 1.2, depending where the market goes. So is your client the buyer that is excited about doing updates? Oh, yes. Oh, he's a contractor. Great. That's all I got. It's 10. I got.
No, but that's great, because he's creating urgency. He's creating FOMO, you guys. Listen, nobody's going to move forward. They're all nervous wrecks. They think everything that happens every day is going to prevent them from buying a good opportunity, or they're going to get in trouble. You have to be the cheerleader. You have to be the advisor. You have to be the person that's pumped up. You have to say, let's do this. What would prevent you from buying this today? What do you need? You have to be the person holding the hand. And a lot of agents don't do that. They say, oh, I'm going to let you marinate on it. Listen, they're not a piece of prime rib, right? We're not trying to let them marinate. Time kills deals. That's the saying. Time kills deals. So you want to say, listen, let's write it up. Let's submit it. Let's see what we can do. Or Randy said, or the developer or the investor is going to fix it himself and make the money. Or you can capitalize right now. What do you want to do?
Yep.
And then don't say anything. Stand there with a pen in your hand. Say, what do you want to do? Right now, you can get it. 20 minutes from now, you might not be able to get it. So have a lot of pens. Have a lot of good pens, right? and hand them the pen and say, it's your destiny. It's your future. It's your equity. What do you want to do? What's your destiny? Let's get it done. And you got to be pumped up. You can't say, so, this is kind of where it stands. So what do you want to do? We could buy it. We could not buy it. We could do other things.
That goes the same with investor clients, right? When they're like, oh, the market is going down. Like, should I even go in the market? I'm like, yeah, just base your offer as if the market will drop 10% in 2 months, right? So write the offer, underwrite it that way. Change your underwriting strategy. That's it. Doesn't mean it might get accepted, it might not, right? So go with where the market trends are going, so you're ahead of it. So when it does happen, you're good. You still have it built in. So good investors don't stop submitting offers in any market. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. They just watch, where's the future trend? What are the pendings telling us? And what are the actives coming on the market at? The most weight is being put on right now on the pendings, right? Because those will become next sold comp, right? But you have to keep an eye on active as well. So anyway, so that's all I got. We don't discourage investors to stop. We actually encourage them to keep going.
Yeah, don't be the negative Nancy, the discouraging person. Be the positive person with solutions. Come from a place of solution. Ask for the order. Say to people right to their face, what would prevent you from buying this house right now? Just ask that question. And then listen. Don't listen to interrupt them. Listen to understand them. There's a big difference. And then utilize that to your ability. That's what you have to, or to your advantage, I should say. That's what you have to do, you guys. And you got to be fired up. And this isn't, I think I might wake up today, it's Thursday, and do some real estate. This is something you have to do every day. If you don't have open houses, get dressed up, go see how other people do open houses in your area. Take notes, see how many signs they put up, see what questions they ask, see how they're pricing the properties. Because guess what? Like Brian said, you get to preview those properties, ask all the hard questions. Don't pick off buyers from them inside and outside. That's unethical. But understand what the deal is and say, how can I do mine differently? How can I set it up differently? If they put out 10 signs, I'm going to put out 25. If they put out 20, I'm going to put out 50. What are you prepared to do to succeed? The problem is that most of the people are lazy and they want to blame it on everybody else. Nobody wants to take accountability. They want to project it on every other factor in what's happening. Listen, we've all been there before. There's money made in every market. Every market money will be made. You just have to find the people who have the need or are motivated to do it. Cameron, close us out.
I got one more thing for you guys. You're going to go do previews. If you're not doing anything, just like we were saying, videotape these on your phone, you guys. Get permission from the agents. Post them on Instagram. Post them on TikToks. Now you have a free lead source. I am teaching this. We're getting 3 to 4 buyers a week for free based on TikTok. So when you go out to preview, video record it, get permission from the agents, you just have a unlimited online lead source, guys. So, everything you do.
And then Cameron, to that, team up with another agent. If you're new, go do an open house together and then apply what Brian is saying. If you preview your properties in the neighborhood and you know what's active, that's vacant, that you can show at any time. Imagine being at the open house, the buyer walks in, we're like, hey, you didn't like this one, but there's one that has similar layout down the street. It's actually vacant. You need an agent to show it, but I can go. And you can literally leave the open house, build rapport, show them properties, done.
Blow their socks off.
Always schedule vacant open houses around your open house and say, I'm going to be showing it that night between 4 and 7. That's it. And tell everybody to meet you back at the open house at 4. Say, I got a great opportunity. I'm not going to tell you where the address is. It's something that nobody knows of, but I have the key and I can get you in. Meet me here at 4 if you want to buy it. If you don't want to buy it, then you know something. You're going to have to search around the city to find the key. Good luck.
Let's go even crazy. Let's go even crazier, Pete. Here we go. So I have done it where a buyer comes into my open house. They're like, we are here in town for the week. We're buying something. We have our proof of funds with us. We're buying a house. I'll shut down my open house and go show them houses. If you got to, that's the whole goal of the open house, other than obviously selling the house, is to get these people that are ready to buy a house. If you have someone ready and willing and able right now, stop what you're doing, go sell them the house. That's our job, is to find those people. So I'm so excited to see you guys as shareholders.
we're gonna end it on that. Next Thursday, we're gonna try to get it ramped up. And what we're gonna go over next Thursday is how to break down numbers. All right, we're gonna do simple formulas on how to break down numbers to buyers when they come into an open house to show them all the advantages of buying that house or another house in that marketplace. Because most of them are renters and they're flushing their money down the toilet. All right, listen, everybody have a productive weekend. Thank you so much. Great panel. And let's get out there, let's stay positive, and let's get it done. Talk to you soon.
Later.